Before we get to the story, take a second to give this video a like and subscribe. Your contribution to the development of the channel is invaluable. Thank you. It was a crisp early morning when the first light seeped through my thin curtains, stirring me from a night of fitful sleep. I shuffled into the kitchen, still half dreaming, when I noticed a neatly folded piece of paper resting on the table. Its delicate script read, "Embrace the unknown, for it is the path to your dreams." In that quiet moment, the word struck me like a spark, awakening long-forgotten desires and ambitions I'd buried under the weight of routine. My heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty as I wondered who could have left such an enigmatic message and why, on this ordinary day. With the note clutched in my hand, I moved with uncharacteristic urgency. I prepared quickly, each small action laden with the promise of change, and stepped out into the hallway. The elevator doors slid open, and as I stepped inside, I found myself standing next to a stranger whose intense gaze met mine. There was something undeniably magnetic about him. A silent recognition that transcended the everyday. Before I could form a single word, his eyes locked onto mine, and in that suspended moment, he leaned in. The kiss was impulsive and fierce, a collision of unspoken passion and mystery that left me breathless. In that fleeting exchange, time seemed to pause. The gentle hum of the elevator, the murmured greetings of other passengers, and even the distant sounds of the waking city faded away. All that remained was the raw, undeniable connection that ignited a flame inside me. As the doors opened and we parted with no further words exchanged, I stepped out into the bustling morning with my mind racing. The mysterious note and that electric, unexpected kiss intertwined in my thoughts, heralding the beginning of something profound. Every step felt charged with anticipation, as if the universe had set me on a path toward revelations I had never dared to imagine. Later that day, I found myself drawn into the warm embrace of a quaint, old bookstore nestled on a quiet side street. The building, with its time-worn facade and inviting display of antique volumes, exuded a charm that felt both nostalgic and promising. Inside, the scent of aged paper and leather-bound treasures mingled with the soft murmur of classical music playing in the background, setting the stage for an encounter that would soon shatter my sense of certainty. Wandering between towering shelves, I admired the care with which each book was displayed. It was then that I noticed him. A man whose presence was as enigmatic as the note and kiss from the morning. He stood by a shelf lined with first editions, gently running his fingers along the spines as if in silent communion with the stories contained within. His eyes, deep and reflective, met mine with a spark of recognition, though I couldn't pinpoint the reason. "Are you a collector?" I asked, my voice naturally soft amid the hushed whispers of the store. He turned, a slight smile curving his lips, and nodded. "I appreciate the past. It holds lessons we often forget in the rush of today." His tone was both earnest and layered, hinting at experiences beyond the printed word. As he spoke, I sensed that every sentence carried the weight of personal history. We moved deeper into conversation, wandering through discussions about rare manuscripts, the fragility of memory, and the inevitable erosion of time. Yet, beneath his charming demeanor lay something more disconcerting. Over the gentle cadence of his voice, fragments of confession began to surface, snippets of a life marked by secret liaisons and betrayals. "Sometimes," he said quietly as we stood before a display of classic novels, "passion can be as fleeting as a well-loved page, only to reveal cracks beneath its surface." His words hung in the air, resonating with a bittersweet truth that I had only just begun to understand. I felt an unexpected chill as I realized that the intense allure he exuded might mask a more turbulent past. Each carefully chosen word suggested that his magnetic charm was a delicate facade, concealing scars from relationships marred by deceit and self-interest. Despite his sincere tone, there was an undercurrent of regret and ambivalence that unsettled me. His reminiscences of past infidelities and moments of moral compromise did not feel like the passionate confessions of a man in love, but rather the burden of someone who had long since learned that beauty and betrayal often walk hand in hand. For a brief moment, as I gazed into his reflective eyes, I wondered if the passion that had drawn me in earlier was merely a veneer, a temporary illusion meant to distract from a deeper, perhaps more self-serving nature. Yet, even as doubts crept in, the allure of his narrative was undeniable. Every revelation seemed to peel back another layer of the enigmatic man before me, leaving me both captivated and cautious. I left the bookstore that day with more questions than answers, a mind buzzing with the promise of change and the foreboding possibility that the passion ignited by that mysterious kiss might come at a steep price. As twilight descended, I found myself stepping onto the rooftop of an old building, a hidden gem in the midst of the bustling city. The space was transformed into an impromptu jazz club, its atmosphere thick with the aroma of rain-washed concrete and the soft glow of neon signs flickering in the background. A live jazz band played a soulful set that seemed to capture both the euphoria and melancholy of the evening, their melodies weaving through the cool night air like whispered secrets. I settled near the edge, where the city skyline unfolded in a shimmering panorama below. The music's rhythm resonated with my heartbeat, each note stirring up memories of that mysterious kiss and the whispered confessions from earlier in the day. The blend of soft brass, the steady pulse of the drums, and the velvety voice of the singer created a soundscape that was as intoxicating as it was transient. Among the scattered clusters of people, I spotted a familiar face, a friend from my past, someone whose presence was as unexpected as it was unsettling. He approached with an easy smile, his eyes glinting with a mix of mischief and regret. As we exchanged brief greetings, his tone shifted from casual to earnest. In the midst of the music and laughter, he leaned in to confide something that felt out of place against the night's enchanting backdrop. "I have to tell you something," he murmured, his voice barely audible over the smooth jazz. "There's more to tonight than meets the eye." His words sent a shiver down my spine. I listened intently as he recounted fragments of a secret he'd uncovered, an intricate web of half-truths and hidden alliances involving some of the people I had recently come to trust. His account painted a picture of carefully crafted deceptions, whispered promises that dissolved into betrayals, secret meetings under the guise of friendly encounters, and a string of coincidences that now looked all too orchestrated. The conversation carried a weight that contrasted sharply with the carefree vibes of the rooftop party. Every sentence he uttered hinted at a deeper layer of manipulation, a deliberate play of appearances meant to keep me in the dark. I could sense the tension in his words, a palpable unease that lingered long after the conversation ended. As the jazz band moved into a slow, haunting ballad, the seductive notes seemed to echo my inner turmoil. I realized that this night, with its dazzling lights and soulful music, was not just a celebration of life's fleeting pleasures. It was also a stage for secrets to be revealed. The revelation left me with a lingering doubt. Was the passion and spontaneity that had stirred me earlier merely a mirage, concealing ulterior motives and silent betrayals? As I gazed out over the city, lost in the interplay of light and shadow, I braced myself for what was to come, knowing that every beautiful moment might carry the potential for a hidden deception, waiting to unravel in the dim light of truth. The next morning, just as the city was shaking off the remnants of night, my phone rang, an unfamiliar number lighting up the screen with an urgent glow. Hesitantly, I answered, half expecting another whispered secret like the ones from last night. Instead, a measured, calm voice introduced itself, claiming to know the truth about the events at the bookstore. There was something disconcertingly precise about the tone, a balance of confession and deflection that left me both curious and wary. "Good morning," the voice began, smooth and cool, yet layered with an underlying tension. "I realize you must be wondering about the man in the bookstore. I know more than you think." The words sent a fresh shiver through my already troubled mind. My heart pounded as I listened, trying to decipher the fragments of his message. He spoke of moments in that quiet haven of literature that had been anything but random, a web of secrets where passion and betrayal intertwined, and where every whispered conversation held a double meaning. As the conversation unfolded, contradictions emerged. At one moment, he admitted to having witnessed the bookstore encounter firsthand, his words painting a scene of heartfelt exchange and genuine allure. Moments later, his tone shifted to one of cautious regret, hinting that the encounter was merely a ruse, an elaborate act designed to mask hidden transgressions. "There's a double standard in play," he murmured, his voice wavering ever so slightly, as if burdened by the weight of his own admissions. "What you perceived as a serendipitous meeting might very well have been orchestrated to cover up deeper indiscretions." I pressed for clarity, but every question seemed to sink into a labyrinth of half-truths and evasive replies. The caller continued, detailing how conflicting narratives had surfaced, one where passion seemed pure, and another where calculated deception reigned. His words made it clear that not everyone was as they appeared, and that the line between sincere confession and a calculated cover-up was dangerously thin. In his cryptic delivery, there was a suggestion that my own experience, the mysterious note, that sudden kiss, even the earlier bookstore encounter, was enmeshed in a broader, murky puzzle of betrayal and hidden agendas. The conversation left me reeling with mixed emotions, a cocktail of suspicion and longing for truth. His revelation ignited an internal debate over trust, intimacy, and the shadows lurking behind every warm smile. Before the call ended, the voice urged me to remain vigilant, to peel back each layer of charm and mystery, for the truth was tangled in a tapestry of contradictory realities. Hanging up, I was left with more questions than answers, my thoughts swirling around the paradox of sincerity versus deception. The day ahead promised a journey into the heart of these intertwined secrets, a path where every revelation might force me to confront the double standards that govern our hidden lives. Later that afternoon, I wandered into a snug art cafe tucked away on a lively side street, where the walls boasted a colorful medley of local art and the air hummed with creative energy. The aroma of freshly ground coffee and delicate pastries blended with the soft clinks of ceramic cups, crafting an atmosphere both inviting and intriguingly unpredictable. I found a quiet corner near a large window that framed the bustling street outside, a perfect vantage point to observe the interplay of art and life unfolding around me. As I sipped my latte, a man caught my eye from across the room. He was standing by a display of abstract paintings, his posture relaxed yet purposeful, as if each piece called out to him with a secret only he could decipher. His eyes, a captivating shade of hazel, were fixed on a painting that seemed to pulse with a spectrum of emotions. Something about the intensity of his gaze, coupled with a subtle air of melancholy, urged me to approach him. Fascinating piece, isn't it? I ventured, nodding toward the artwork. He turned, a slight smile playing on his lips, a smile that hinted at both charm and guarded vulnerability. Absolutely, he replied, his voice smooth and deliberate, as though he was sharing a treasured thought. It captures the duality of passion and pain, the very essence of our human condition. We slipped into an effortless conversation, where art became our mutual language. He spoke of his own journey, a winding road of personal triumphs and betrayals, of love that burned brightly yet faltered under the weight of secrets. Every word he uttered resonated with raw honesty, as if he were unburdening his soul. I found myself opening up in return, sharing tales of fleeting kisses and the labyrinth of conflicting emotions that had recently reshaped my life. Mid-conversation, as our discussion deepened into uncharted territory of vulnerability, he stepped closer. In a moment that felt both spontaneous and predestined, he brushed his hand gently against mine, a silent invitation to share an unspoken understanding. Then, almost imperceptibly, he leaned forward and kissed me. It was not the hurried electric kiss of the morning, but one imbued with a bittersweet tenderness, a kiss that seemed to say, "I understand your pain, your hopes, and the scars you carry." Yet beneath the surface of that intimate moment, I sensed something amiss. His eyes, though filled with a warm intensity, occasionally flickered with an unreadable glimmer, as if he were playing a dual role. Was he genuinely baring his soul, or was this another performance in a series of carefully orchestrated gestures designed to captivate and disarm? The ambiguity gnawed at me even as I savored the lingering taste of that kiss. Our conversation shifted again, delving into the realms of aspirations and regrets. He confessed, with an almost imperceptible hesitation, that his life had been punctuated by moments where the desire to connect clashed with a need to control, to manipulate. "I've learned," he murmured, "that sometimes exposing your deepest self can leave you vulnerable to those who might use that openness against you." His confession hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. In that art cafe, amidst the soft murmur of background chatter and the intermittent clatter of cups, I was left questioning the true nature of intimacy. Was this encounter a genuine connection between kindred spirits, or another beautifully crafted illusion masking the dual games of desire and deceit? As I sat there, heart pounding and mind racing, I realized that every shared moment was a delicate balance, one that could lead to the liberation of the soul or plunge it further into the intricate web of human complexities. A few days later, I received an unexpected invitation. A private tour of an old mansion known for its storied past. The invitation arrived in an elegant envelope, hinting at secrets and whispers of a bygone era. Curiosity outweighed my lingering doubts, and I found myself stepping through the ornate front doors of the mansion, where time itself seemed to have been captured in layers of dust and faded grandeur. Inside, the mansion was a labyrinth of opulent corridors and dimly lit rooms, each exuding an aura of melancholy and mystery. My guide, a distinguished older gentleman with a voice both gentle and grave, welcomed me with a knowing smile. "This place," he began, "is a silent witness to decades of love, betrayal, and the passage of time." His words resonated deeply, drawing me into a world where history and emotion intertwined. As we wandered through rooms filled with antique furniture and portraits of long-gone ancestors, we arrived at a secluded gallery. Dominating the space was a large, enigmatic portrait of a man whose eyes seemed to hold a lifetime of secrets. The painting exuded a haunting intensity, as if it were more than just an image. It was a repository of memories, both beautiful and painful. The guide explained that this man was once the heart of the mansion. A man celebrated for his charm and generosity but later marred by scandal and betrayal. His story, interwoven with the family's legacy, was one of passionate love that ended in disillusionment and deep regret. Listening intently, I found echoes of my own experiences in his tale. A life punctuated by moments of exhilarating intimacy and painful deception. The guide recounted how the portrait had become a symbol of hidden truths within the mansion. A constant reminder that beneath the veneer of opulence, human hearts are prone to their own tumultuous dramas. He spoke of whispered arguments in shadowed hallways, secret affairs that defied societal expectations, and betrayals that shattered fragile alliances. Each word painted a vivid picture of a man who had once navigated the complexities of trust and desire, only to be consumed by the consequences of his own actions. Standing before the portrait, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming kinship with the man depicted. His eyes, filled with sorrow and longing, mirrored my own inner conflicts, the battle between a yearning for unguarded passion and the scars left by past betrayals. In that moment, the mansion transformed from a relic of history into a living tapestry of emotions, where every brushstroke told a story of both beauty and pain. As our tour continued, I realized that the mansion was not just a place of art and antiquity, but a metaphor for the intricacies of the human soul. Each room whispered of hidden memories, of moments where trust had been both given and broken, and where the passage of time had etched its marks upon every heart. In the silence of that space, I understood that my own journey was inseparably linked to these themes, of love, betrayal, and ultimately, the quest for truth amid the ghosts of the past. On a warm, bustling afternoon, I found myself wandering into an open-air art fair held in a sprawling city park. The fair was a vibrant clash of color and creativity. Artists from every corner displayed their work on makeshift stalls draped in canopies, while live musicians set a lively rhythm in the background. Amid the organized chaos, the fair felt like a microcosm of the city's soul. Raw, unpredictable, and full of untold stories. As I strolled through the fair, admiring canvases bursting with emotion and sculptures that defied gravity, I unexpectedly crossed paths with a striking artist whose work seemed to pulse with the intensity of life itself. His booth was a curated gallery of mixed media, each piece reflecting themes of love, loss, and the perpetual search for truth. He greeted me with a warm, enigmatic smile. A smile that simultaneously invited trust and hinted at secrets. "Every piece here tells a story," he said, gesturing toward a painting that portrayed a stormy seascape with a lone figure standing resilient against the waves. "It's about the duality of our feelings, the conflict between vulnerability and the strength we muster to survive life's betrayals." His words resonated deeply, and soon we were engaged in a conversation that felt both intimate and electrifying. We talked about our pasts, our scars, and the delicate balance between hope and despair. As the dialogue deepened, the artist slowly unveiled fragments of his own history. He confessed that his journey through art was sparked by a series of personal betrayals. Moments when the people he trusted most revealed hidden faces, leaving him questioning his worth and the authenticity of every connection. His revelations were laced with raw honesty, each sentence dripping with a mix of pain and defiance. In his eyes, I saw the reflection of my own internal struggles, the parallel journey of overcoming the bittersweet sting of deception. Then, in a startling moment of candor, a mutual acquaintance, someone I had believed to be an ally, stepped into our conversation. Their arrival sparked a tense, yet unguarded exchange. The acquaintance's words were fraught with contradictions. One moment, they praised the artist's passion, and the next, they hinted at manipulations and hidden agendas that had marred past collaborations. As the conversation unfolded, long-held secrets began to unravel in front of my eyes. Details emerged about covert alliances, unspoken rivalries, and betrayals that had not only disrupted personal relationships but also threatened the very fabric of the creative community. In that charged atmosphere of the art fair, surrounded by masterpieces and fervent declarations, I realized that fate had orchestrated this meeting. It was a convergence of lives bound by the common thread of betrayal and the relentless pursuit of truth. The artist's story, my own turbulent experiences, and the acquaintance's dubious revelations wove together into a tapestry of dual emotions. A mix of inspiration and disillusionment that left me questioning who among us was truly sincere, and who was merely playing a role. This intersection of fates at the art fair would forever alter my perception of trust, leaving me both captivated and cautious as I continued on my journey toward emotional liberation. It was a late afternoon when I found myself in a bustling modern kitchen that doubled as a culinary classroom. A space where the mingling aromas of roasted garlic, simmering herbs, and exotic spices promised more than just a lesson in cooking. The atmosphere was electric with creative energy, as chefs and amateurs alike huddled around gleaming countertops, each lost in the art of transforming ingredients into unforgettable dishes. I settled into a seat at a communal table, my senses already tantalized by the array of colors and scents that filled the room. The master chef, a vibrant personality with a penchant for theatrical flourishes, introduced the session with an enthusiasm that was almost contagious. As we chopped, sautéed, and stirred, our conversations flowed as freely as the fine olive oil drizzled over fresh salads. Amid the lively chatter, I noticed a fellow participant who had initially seemed as genuine and approachable as everyone else. She wore an easy smile and engaged in spirited banter about the secrets behind her grandmother's recipes. But as the class progressed, the lightness of her demeanor began to shift. During a quiet moment when we were all focused on plating our final creations, she pulled me aside, her eyes suddenly darkening with a weight that belied her earlier charm. "I need to tell you something," she whispered, glancing around as if fearful of prying ears. Her voice, usually so buoyant, was now thick with regret and resignation. "Everything you see here, the smiles, the camaraderie, they're all part of a facade. I've been part of secret alliances, not just in the kitchen but in life. I've betrayed friends and loved ones for reasons I thought were justified at the time. Every meticulously prepared dish hides a story of manipulation and broken trust." Her confession hit me like a sudden jolt. As we mixed spices together, her words mingled with the tang of lemon and the heat of chili, creating a complex blend of flavors that mirrored the tangled mess of emotions stirring inside me. I listened, captivated and disturbed in equal measure, as she recounted how a cherished relationship had been sacrificed on the altar of ambition. A betrayal that wasn't as black and white as one might assume, but rather a series of choices made in moments of desperate vulnerability. Around us, the hum of conversation resumed, oblivious to the intensity of our exchange. Yet, in that private corner of the masterclass, the culinary art became a metaphor for life itself. A process where raw ingredients, when mixed with passion and deceit, could result in a dish that was both seductive and dangerous. Her words lingered, stirring my thoughts about the delicate balance between honesty and self-interest, and leaving me to wonder how many of us, in our quest for success and love, had sacrificed integrity for the fleeting taste of power. As we returned to our stations, I couldn't shake the realization that behind every shared recipe, there might be layers of secrets waiting to be uncovered, each flavor a subtle hint of the bittersweet truths that define our most intimate relationships. On a breezy late afternoon, the city park became the stage for a public conversation that promised to expose hidden truths. The park was teeming with life. Families enjoying the warm sunlight, joggers carving paths through the lush greenery, and small clusters of people gathering near a modest stage set up in the open. Today, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation as a community forum had been called to discuss the impacts of deceit, betrayal, and the complexity of modern relationships. I found myself drawn to the gathering, compelled by the hope that honesty, even if raw and painful, might ultimately lead to healing. Taking a seat on a weathered wooden bench, I listened intently as the moderator, a woman with a calm yet resolute presence, introduced the topic. "We all have stories of love and loss," she began, her voice clear and unwavering. "But today we are here to confront the lies and half-truths that have poisoned our connections." Her words resonated with many in the crowd, their faces a mix of determination and cautious vulnerability. One by one, individuals took to the microphone, recounting their personal experiences of betrayal and heartbreak. A middle-aged man spoke about the pain of discovering his partner's double life, describing the moment he realized that the trust he had so freely given was nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion. His voice wavered as he detailed the internal conflict between love and the agony of disillusionment, leaving a tangible silence in the wake of his confession. Then, a young woman shared a story that mirrored the quiet turmoil I had been battling since that mysterious morning. "I was captivated by charm and allure," she admitted, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But soon I found that every heartfelt gesture hid a secret, a deception waiting to unravel." Her words cut through the hum of background chatter, revealing a raw vulnerability that resonated deeply with the collective experience of the crowd. The dialogue escalated as others joined in, each voice contributing to a tapestry of shared sorrow and unexpected strength. Accusations and confessions mingled in the air, forming a powerful counterpoint to the carefully curated images of perfection that social media and polite society often demanded. In that moment, the park transformed into a sanctuary of truth. A place where the facade of everyday civility was stripped away to reveal the unvarnished reality of human emotion. As I listened, I felt a stirring within me. A combination of empathy and a rekindled desire for personal liberation. I realized that while the revelations were painful, they also held the promise of clarity. The confessions were not simply lamentations of what had been lost, but earnest calls for accountability and the possibility of rebuilding something real, something untainted by duplicity. The discussion took an unexpected turn when a renowned community activist stepped forward. With unwavering conviction, he argued that deception in personal relationships was often a reflection of broader societal issues. A complex interplay of isolation, fear, and the relentless pressure to maintain a flawless image. His words challenged us all to reconsider the nature of trust and the importance of vulnerability in forging genuine connections. We must be brave enough to reveal our scars, he declared, for in our openness lies the strength to break free from the cycle of betrayal. The conversation grew even more impassioned as participants debated the merits of forgiveness versus the need for justice. Yet, despite the heated exchanges, a common thread wove its way through every testimony. The shared understanding that every lie uncovered was a step towards reclaiming authenticity. The park, under the dappled sunlight and amidst murmurs of agreement, became a crucible where painful memories and hopeful aspirations merged into a singular quest for truth. As the public dialogue drew to a close, I felt a profound shift within myself. The forum had not offered neat resolutions or easy answers. Instead, it provided a space where the complexities of love and betrayal could be acknowledged without judgment. Stepping away from the stage, I carried with me the weight of the revelations, a reminder that while the path to healing might be fraught with discomfort, it was also illuminated by the courage to confront our deepest wounds. In that open park, amid voices of defiance and sorrow, I sensed that the journey towards emotional liberation was not a solitary one, but a collective movement toward embracing the raw, unfiltered truth of our lives. After the heated dialogue in the park, a subtle but relentless urge to uncover the full story led me to a forgotten corner of the city. A small archival room in a centuries-old building that held records of past lives and hidden histories. The space was dimly lit and smelled faintly of aged paper and worn leather, as if the very walls were whispering secrets of bygone eras. Here, amidst boxes of brittle documents and faded photographs, I began to unravel a tapestry of connections that spanned far beyond my recent encounters. Sifting through handwritten letters, old diaries, and meticulously kept registers, I discovered startling parallels between the events of my own life and the tangled past of those who had come before me. Each document was a piece of a larger puzzle, a story of love, betrayal, and the painful duality of human nature. One diary, in particular, belonged to a woman whose life had been torn apart by the very themes I was now confronting. Her words painted a vivid picture of a time when secrets were currency and trust was a luxury few could afford. Her quiet confessions, recorded in ink that had long since faded, revealed not only personal betrayals but also a systemic pattern of deception that echoed through generations. As I delved deeper, the archives began to tell a story of secondary betrayals. Those subtle acts of disloyalty that, while not as dramatic as a stolen kiss or an overt confession, nonetheless eroded the foundation of relationships over time. I uncovered a series of letters exchanged between friends, partners, and family members, where each note hinted at unspoken resentments and carefully concealed truths. These secondary acts of betrayal, though seemingly minor in isolation, combined into a mosaic of fractured trust and unmet expectations. In one particularly shocking file, I found evidence that one of the individuals I had trusted, someone I believed to be a steadfast ally, had been orchestrating a network of manipulations behind the scenes. Their covert actions, revealed through a series of anonymous memos and cryptic phone logs, showed how they had subtly influenced events in my life, turning moments of passion and vulnerability into opportunities for personal gain. The discovery hit me hard, a potent reminder that sometimes, the most insidious betrayals are not the grand gestures of deceit but the quiet, calculated actions that go unnoticed until their cumulative impact becomes undeniable. The more I pieced together these fragmented records, the clearer it became that my recent experiences were not isolated incidents but part of a recurring cycle of human behavior. The archival revelations were both a mirror and a warning. While the past was littered with scars of deceit, it also offered lessons on resilience and the possibility of renewal. With each new piece of evidence, I felt a mixture of sorrow for the wounds inflicted long ago and a growing determination to break the cycle. In that silent, dusty room, I realized that unraveling these tangled threads was not merely an act of uncovering history. It was a journey towards understanding my own heart, and perhaps, finding the strength to forge a future unburdened by the weight of betrayal. After the heated dialogue in the park, a subtle but relentless urge to uncover the full story led me to a forgotten corner of the city. A small archival room in a centuries-old building that held records of past lives and hidden histories. The space was dimly lit and smelled faintly of aged paper and worn leather, as if the very walls were whispering secrets of bygone eras. Here, amidst boxes of brittle documents and faded photographs, I began to unravel a tapestry of connections that spanned far beyond my recent encounters. Sifting through handwritten letters, old diaries, and meticulously kept registers, I discovered startling parallels between the events of my own life and the tangled past of those who had come before me. Each document was a piece of a larger puzzle. A story of love, betrayal, and the painful duality of human nature. One diary, in particular, belonged to a woman whose life had been torn apart by the very themes I was now confronting. Her words painted a vivid picture of a time when secrets were currency and trust was a luxury few could afford. Her quiet confessions, recorded in ink that had long since faded, revealed not only personal betrayals but also a systemic pattern of deception that echoed through generations. As I delved deeper, the archives began to tell a story of secondary betrayals, those subtle acts of disloyalty that, while not as dramatic as a stolen kiss or an overt confession, nonetheless eroded the foundation of relationships over time. I uncovered a series of letters exchanged between friends, partners, and family members, where each note hinted at unspoken resentments and carefully concealed truths. These secondary acts of betrayal, though seemingly minor in isolation, combined into a mosaic of fractured trust and unmet expectations. In one particularly shocking file, I found evidence that one of the individuals I had trusted, someone I believed to be a steadfast ally, had been orchestrating a network of manipulations behind the scenes. Their covert actions, revealed through a series of anonymous memos and cryptic phone logs, showed how they had subtly influenced events in my life, turning moments of passion and vulnerability into opportunities for personal gain. The discovery hit me hard, a potent reminder that sometimes, the most insidious betrayals are not the grand gestures of deceit but the quiet, calculated actions that go unnoticed until their cumulative impact becomes undeniable. The more I pieced together these fragmented records, the clearer it became that my recent experiences were not isolated incidents but part of a recurring cycle of human behavior. The archival revelations were both a mirror and a warning. While the past was littered with scars of deceit, it also offered lessons on resilience and the possibility of renewal. With each new piece of evidence, I felt a mixture of sorrow for the wounds inflicted long ago and a growing determination to break the cycle. In that silent, dusty room, I realized that unraveling these tangled threads was not merely an act of uncovering history. It was a journey towards understanding my own heart, and perhaps, finding the strength to forge a future unburdened by the weight of betrayal.